Ah, welcome everyone to part 2 of our Demi-Humans live actual play stream. So excited to be playing this game, which is nearing the end of its playtest cycle. It's created by Robert Bohl and will be published by Evil Hat Games. Can everyone hear me now? What happened there was I had the break screen on and I realized I had put the mic on there when I hadn't meant to. And I'm like, oh, I'll just mute that so you don't hear me doing random stuff with the starting soon screen. But apparently the mute status of your audio input capture in OBS carries over from one scene to another, in case anyone cares about that technical information. Just sharing it as I'm discovering it. So, yeah, here we are with part 2 of our Demi-Humans live actual play. Some fun stuff, or interesting stuff at least, happened last time. Before we go into introducing our new player, who was not able to join us yesterday because of training issues? Train problems. Actual trains, yeah.
Public transit, hooray.
So we'll start talking about Stefan, the traitor human, shortly. But before that, I guess of you other players, who wants to lead the recap on what happened last time? Z, I think you took notes, didn't you?
I did.
Well, then I choose you.
Oh boy. Yes, 1 second.
Go, recap attack. No, that was really bad.
Yeah,
Just pretend I didn't do that.
Yep, never happened. Okay, let's see. Last session, started with just humans causing trouble and getting stuck with some monster in the cave. Turned into pacifying said monster, while the wizard kept antagonizing it. Through Ruga and Juniper, they were able to isolate the wizard and keep him from further angering the monster. Which Trav eventually, or not Trav, Krogu, eventually just effectively just shoved him out of there. It's like, no, sorry, you got to go. So he shoved him out of the cave, and Aldea followed. In the meantime, the wizard was throwing a fit about not capturing said monster, and eventually shifted his focus to capturing Krogu, who didn't take too kindly to that. After that issue was resolved and the paladin had gotten killed effectively, and Krogu was able to resuscitate it, which is what got the wizard's attention in the first place. Nonetheless, after a really tense conversation, one would say, between us and the humans, they eventually decided to leave the Enclave with the effective threat of coming back for more. Which is where we left off, I believe, more or less.
Yeah, well, let's say a little bit of time passes, perhaps a few days. Before we get into some of the fallout from this, let's introduce our new character, played by Palmer. Well, first of all, let's introduce Palmer. Welcome, Palmer. Happy to have you here.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, Palmer, why don't you introduce yourself a bit and tell us who you are, for those of us who weren't here for the Kids on Bikes thing yesterday. Though I was for part of that, at least.
Well, all right. I am now and will hopefully continue to be Palmer. And tonight I'll be playing Stefan the human, which is a hard role for me to play due to, I'm definitely a human. And I am the producer, editor, and writer for Radio Free Detroit with Ziggy the Troll, and also working on some other audio drama stuff right now. And occasionally I remember to edit Shadowrun Origins.
Yeah. So when's the next one of those coming out?
First week of March.
Sweet. I know I was already there because I GM most of those or play in some of them, but I always look forward to listening to them too, because it's so much fun to hear what you've done with the editing and everything. And it's also a fun group.
Yeah, it's super fun.
So let's dive into last time at the beginning we kind of went through the the character creation steps with everyone, and got through the Gnosis questions and some of the choices, and got to know some of the characters a little bit. Since you weren't here for that, let's start things off with finding out about Stefan, the human trader. I guess we have the name first. Why don't you go through some of the details, such as the life and look and stat choices and any accoutrement things that you wanted to bring up?
For sure. So, yes, Stefan, he is a human. He lives in the Enclave for business. He is actually a merchant and manufacturer of goods. And to his fellow humans, he is always expressing how important it is to acquire inexpensive labor, which is easy to do in the Enclave. However, that is at least mostly opposed because he feels he feels a certain amount of inner shame about the whole situation with the non-humans. So he is actually doing his best to help as much as he can. He dresses typically, just because I'm lazy, he looks like me but with a beard, and wears richer clothes than most people probably do in the Enclave due to his relative wealth. So in light of that, let me go through the stats here one sec. Where did I put it? There we go. So let's see, stats. Yes, so he's got a 0 in Serene. He's got a 1 in Brutish, a 1 in Beguiling, a 2 in Kenning, and a -1 in however you want to say it.
Is how we decided we're going to say it.
Sounds good. He's got.
You can say it however you want. That's fine too.
He's a human and therefore is terrible at that.
So you put your optional +1 into Beguiling, I see.
Correct. Yes, I thought it was appropriate for the character with his sort of mindset. The key move in the trader playbook is shut up and listen, where if I follow a plan recommended by a non-human, then I can take a +1 to the action that I'm going to do based on their recommendation. And then I chose as my other 2. I have a swollen coin purse. So at the beginning of every tale, I get one extra gold, which seemed appropriate for the background. And then I also took, trust me, I'm a human. So I can basically, if a demiurge character is harassing one of my buddies here, then I can basically be like, hey, pay attention to what I'm doing instead.
All right, sounds good. The other thing we need to do with your character is go through some of the Gnosis questions. And you've got a required one, first of all. So why don't we start with that?
Yes.
Choose the member of the company whom you have most severely affronted since you came to the Enclave. Ask them if they told you about it. If they did, you have Gnosis plus... Wait, I shouldn't say that. We should find out what the answer is first.
Yes, that's true. All right. Let's see. Who's here? We've got
Ruga the Orc. Actually, yeah, the other 3 of you who are here, why don't you just very briefly introduce your characters to Palmer and everyone else here who might not have caught part 1 and didn't have time to catch it on YouTube in the meantime. Let's start with Aldea the elf.
Hi. So Aldea is an elf. She's very slight in figure. Her skin is green. Her eyes are silver, and she has branches kind of wrapped around her into some kind of clothing. And those branches can extend and detract, and they go up into her head, almost like antlers made of branches. And she tends to be pretty neutral, serene, kind of observant of the Enclave and people around.
All right. Trav, how about you? Let's introduce Krogu the troll.
Krogu is a very large rock troll. Mossy hair, mossy beard, agate sort of eyes, rocky skin that he is covered with large pieces of bark that he's gotten from who knows where. He wanders around with a carved staff the size of a tree, really big log, and he has very little use for the civilization even here in the Enclave, let alone the humans above.
And Ruga, the orc.
Okay, Ruga the Orc. Yeah, really, it's just more or less just big, large, androgynous, buff, orange orc. Orcs here do come in multiple colors. Prominently, their distinguishing feature being their tusks. She rides around on a Triceratops, and she has a pretty large dual-headed axe. And a spiked bullwhip that she keeps nearby as well. With
Fun.
like a patch, like a leathery kind of patchwork cape with bone garnish, more or less, that decorates it.
Alrighty.
Awesome.
Sounds
And,
good.
before we move on, Z-Fate, I'm sorry, could you tilt your camera down just a tiny bit? We're kind of losing the bottom half of your mouth behind your name label, so...
Oh,
awesome,
yeah.
thank
Gotcha.
you. That's
No.
perfect. Okay, so...
So I think for this gnosis, I have severely and we'll see whether or not I know about it, offended Krogu.
All right, Krogu.
It's not hard to offend Krogu.
Yep. Stefan has severely affronted you since coming to the Enclave. Have you told them about it?
Probably in the sense of he's gotten very close to him and gone, I don't like you.
Okay, well that gives you, I think, what, Gnosis +1 of
+1.
Krogu? We can stop there if you want, but you can ask some of the other questions. I recommend at least one or two more.
Yeah, let me see what's here.
Some of those were
what else is
questions, and
here?
some of them are more defining statements, it seems. So, actually, let's do one more.
Okay.
To pick of Ruga or Aldea, because there's another feature of humans that you get Gnosis -1 of everyone else, and I want that to
Yes.
happen to come into play here. So it's going to be.
Sure. So not too many.
You might actually end up having depending on what happens as a result of these questions, have a lower Gnosis of both of them, but we'll see.
Yes. No, I think that Stefan probably spends a lot of time. Well, I mean, I don't know how everyone really feels about humans. How does Aldea feel about humans in general? You said she's fairly serene and neutral in general, but
she knows the path that humanity will ultimately end up on, and meta-humanity as well. Demi-humanity. What game am I playing? So
Humans call them demi-humans. I believe you refer to yourselves as non-humans, and you'll have many you're sort of your
why are
own
we
names
all,
for your people.
yeah,
why are we all defining ourselves based on the humans?
right. So I don't approve of a lot of their decisions, but I see the necessity and the path that must be taken.
Okay.
So I'm going to jump in and say that was the Gnosis question and answer. And
Sure.
you're going to have +2 Gnosis of Aldea because you I guess somehow managed to speak to her and get her to tell you directly about what she thinks of humans, and you found out way more than you were expecting about how elves look at things, and
Yeah, and which is the Gnosis question I was going for, was someone I have spent a lot of time with.
oh, works out perfectly anyway. So
Also, since I've shared culture with you, he can have one of my
I think that's
special.
a move you do later, like during the tale, though, isn't it?
Oh, okay.
Unless it's a special elf thing. I'm sorry.
No, I know you can, but I know it says anytime that you share culture, or share your culture, that you can share one of these powers that can be used once.
Okay, let's leave that for during the game because this is more of
Sure.
something that happened in the past.
You got it.
Okay, and then you will have -1 Gnosis of Ruga. For whatever reason, you haven't got the chance to
Yes.
get to know her or the other orcs as much. Probably because they don't like you very much. But,
In
you know,
general, yeah.
and they probably assume you don't like them very much. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But
Like we ourselves would not say sore losers, but it's not far from the truth.
all right. I think before we go into the tale, then there's a few other moves to go with. One of which is change highlighted stats. I don't think anyone necessarily has to change their highlighted stats. I'm not going to call out any of you, but for this, but I think Palmer, Stefan needs to have some highlighted stats. So
Okay.
Who wants to,
remind me what that is.
you know, we'll go since you've got the highest gnosis with Aldea. Aldea, why don't you tell us which of Stefan's stats you are most interested in seeing play out? You've got Serene, Brutish. I don't have the list in front of me here. I'm doing this from memory. Effulgent, Beguiling,
Beguiling, Kinning, and
and Kinning. Yeah.
Effulgent.
Given Stefan's career in the Enclave and stuff like that, I think I'm going to go with Beguiling.
Okay. Then me as Demiurge, I get to pick one. And last time I went easy and I picked ones that are like super useful to everyone else. I'm going to go with Brutish. Because that's, I don't know, less advantageous for you maybe. So it's going to be a bit more interesting for you. That's partly my job. And also because I want to see how, you know, if you do call upon Brutish, well, things are going to be interesting. So
Sounds good.
So go ahead and mark those. And the key to those is you get to mark experience every time you use those highlighted stats.
Beautiful.
Okay, I guess otherwise, quickly, did anyone get enough experience points to level up? And I'll be honest
One
here,
short.
I barely looked at the level up rules, so I don't even know what that number is off the top of my head.
5.
5, okay. Does anyone else have 5 experience yet?
One
No,
short.
you get experience from using one of those highlighted.
Yeah, every time you use one of your highlighted stats, you get an experience point. Also, whenever you cap out your Gnosis with someone, it resets back to 0, and you get an experience point.
Then
Plus 3 or -3.
All right. With that, I think I'd like to pick up this tale with... We'll introduce Stefan shortly, but I want to check in with Krogu. What's the first thing Krogu does after the events? Oh, no, never mind. I'm getting ahead of myself. We have to do some more things. We have to make the common wheel move. Who would like to roll that? We roll to see how well the Enclave is doing using +2 because that's the civility of this Enclave.
I'll roll it. I got a 10. 6 and a 4. So a total of 12.
Okay, so overall, I think the Commonweal's feeling pretty, or not Commonweal, the Enclave is feeling pretty good about what's happened. They avoided a potential disaster with the humans, relatively speaking, and so things seem to be going pretty well. That means you get to choose 3 of the Enclave's boons to come up in the tale that you can use. And actually, there are 3 boons on there, so I guess you don't choose them so much. One is that someone gets to have their lifestyle covered by the local food plots. At some point during the tale, you can find the right person you're looking for in the feast hall, and also you can freely obtain something illicit through the black market. Each of those boons can be called upon once over the course of the tale. The tale being tonight's session.
I have no upkeep already, so I don't need that.
I'd like that because I can't afford mine tonight.
All right. Well, let's get to the lifestyle demands then. Stefan, go ahead and decide how you're covering yours. I think you've got piles of gold, so you get 1 gold already anyway because...
Yes, my regular income covers my lifestyle.
So you basically
1-to-1.
don't really have to worry about where your next meal's coming from. It's
Nope.
Roof over your head, all that stuff. You're a human. It comes easy for you. Ruga, on the other hand, you don't have the automatic troll food or the bonus plants that Aldea gets to pick from the gardens. How are you doing with your lifestyle payments? Do you have the gold to spare?
I think I have 2 gold of miscellany, which I just decided was going to be just having gold.
That works.
In which case I do have 1 additional gold. But I mean, I could.
Yeah, I guess
We
if you
could say
can't
that I did
afford
one
it,
of the things.
or if you would rather not, do something else, you could, I guess, do something to make some money if you want.
Yes, that's what I want to do.
Have we all had a couple days of downtime to do some of that?
There will be an indeterminate few days in between the last session and this one, so I'm not being too specific about the passing of time, but we'll say somewhere in the neighborhood of 2 to 3 days is fine.
Oh, cool.
Okay, so let's see here. What are the options for...
Murder, extortion, bodyguard, or devising some other scheme.
Okay. So, what are you going to do to make some money?
Looks like extortion or raiding, or running a protection scheme on an affluent population.
Okay. Well, there's not too many affluent people here in the Enclave, but there are some who have more than others. Otherwise, there's the human stuff out down in Cairndal. That's fairly risky for orcs, but it's not like you're not allowed to go there at all under any circumstances.
Yeah, that honestly sounds most characteristic, because she is a little bit pissed about the whole situation last time, and she has a hypothetical axe to...
Okay, so we're not going to role-play through this as a whole separate adventure. We're going to summarize this and do a dice roll to see how it goes.
Okay.
So, Ruga, though, why don't you describe kind of what you're going out and doing a little bit, so I have an idea.
Basically gonna just gather up some of the gang and go raiding.
Okay, so you go out probably at nighttime then, slip out and head on down into the city of Cairndal to see what you can break free for your own wealth. What would you like to? What stat would you like to rely on for this? I'll let you pick.
Let's make it interesting. I'm gonna do remaining serene under a fraught.
Oh, serene under duress.
Under a duress, yeah. That's Kinning a fraught that I was thinking of, but serene under duress is the one I wanted to do. As it is more or less a stealth adventure, and I do want to stay.
I'm put on my stealth music here. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's a way. There's really no question whether or not you can beat the snot out of any human who crosses your path. It's more important whether or not you can maybe not cross paths with the human to begin with.
Yeah.
So you and your fellow orcs went out and did some burgling and looting. Go ahead and give me a roll and see how well that went.
Ooh, not well. 3.
3. Oh my gosh. So you succeeded. You made it away with a lot of wealthy stuff. Let's pick another player. I'll put you on the spot. Trav. What was the nature of the valuable goods that Ruga was able to grab? They shouldn't be too distinct. They should be easily fenced, I imagine.
old silver coins from the pre-war human empire.
Okay. So you got a hold of these old silver coins, and it seemed like you were getting away with them. However, there was a particularly alert guard in the night that fired off a crossbow bolt at a dark shape, and Orcrist, the orc that had sort of not wanted to get involved and help the humans last time, took a crossbow bolt through the back of the neck and sticking out their throat and fell dead instantly. You were able to retrieve them and drag them back, so there wasn't a corpse to be found to point directly at the Enclave, but Orcrist is dead.
Dang. 14.
All right, so that's our lifestyle side of things. Does anyone else have any start of tale moves or custom moves you'd like to do before we go into today's tale?
Give me like 15 seconds to see if there's anything, but I don't think so.
Not I.
Okay, well, I'd like to
go for it.
Start things off then with Krogu. Krogu, I want to know, did you go and check on your Crystal Grove after the encounter? Or have you stayed up in the Enclave mostly since?
No, Krogu would have left the Enclave immediately after and will not have come back unless something forces him to. He is spending his time back in the Grove, especially watching for that one crystal spider from last time that I know, but he does not know, will not be coming.
All right, and tell us a little bit about your Crystal Grove. Sort of describe what it's like.
The Walking Rock Cavern is a very large, open, multi-tier space. There are crystals coming out of every surface. Very large ones, very small ones of many colors. Large calcite spires, small quartz clusters here and there, and just everything in between. And in that, there are crystalline life forms that are constantly wandering around. It's a hive of activity. There are crystal spiders. There are small fluttering things. There are a couple of floating clusters that just sort of defy gravity. And then there are a couple of recesses where Krogu keeps himself, and also where he keeps a couple of things that are completely unknown to anyone outside of himself and the denizens of the cavern.
All right. When you do start returning back to your grove, as you get closer, you just get this sort of sense of something feels wrong. And as you approach sort of one of the larger tunnels that leads this way, you can see signs of, I guess, scuffed stone and signs of passage of travelers, perhaps the humans. And as you get a little farther, you see chips of broken off crystal from something here or there. Maybe this is where they fought that thing. And as you pick up the pace and around the bend to see your grove, you find it largely disarray. Many of the creatures are moving about frantically, some of which are actually injured or missing a chunk off. And then as you look around and take the space in, you can see that many different, like this place seems to have been defiled and attacked. It's not completely destroyed, but there's tons of damage. It's like they went in here and just started smashing things. You see no fewer than a half a dozen different crystal creatures that don't appear to be alive anymore. Some of which are in several pieces. Others seem fairly still and otherwise intact. And the whole place just kind of has this sick and afraid feel to it. Your grove is very unquiet and hurt. And you have the sense that it's like bleeding away some of its vitality. How does Krogu react to this?
I imagine he's going to have to try and roll roll to stay serene.
I'm more interested in seeing,
so
I guess,
let's
Krogu's emotional or reaction here, rather than there's no one to remain serene under duress here with necessarily. It's just you and your grove.
Oh, he's angry. He's very upset that this has happened, and he's angry at himself for having left, because he feels now like this couldn't have happened if he was here. One thing he does immediately go check on is there is in one of the recesses, it's well hidden, it's out of the way, but there should be a very unique crystal plant in one cavern, and he immediately would want to know if it's been damaged.
Okay, so you go running off to go check on that and go and look in the cavern, and we'll cut to Stefan up in the Enclave. You've been busily doing business here. You've heard some stories of what happened over at the Dark Gate. I'll mention here there are two main gates in the Enclave. One goes out to where the city of Cairndal, the human city, is down below at the foot of the mountain. The other one on the other side, of a kind of wide laneway, is a large clockwork, more reinforced gate that goes deeper into the underground tunnels and caverns below. And that is where the fracas occurred. You'd heard that that no humans were killed, but a wizard and adventuring party got into some trouble, and the Enclave helped them out. Some even say they healed a dying paladin. So you've been hearing rumors and stories about this all day long as you've been doing business. Where are you, and what are you doing?
So I believe that Stefan is currently going through we'll call it a factory, but it's just a production line of sentient beings producing nails. We make excellent nails in bulk and supply most of the nails for building the city. Want to put up a new building? You've got Stefan's nails. So I've got all sorts of different people of all the different races there, and they're just two types of nails. You got your hammered nails, and you've got your cut nails. So we have both types.
Okay, and what is Stefan doing in this? Are you working on nails yourself, or walking around and overseeing?
He's supervising and just sort of making sure that nobody's working too hard, encouraging people. If somebody's looks like they're tired, he's like take a break, and he'll take over for somebody who's taking a break, so that the same number of nails get made. Wouldn't want anybody to fall behind on their work just because they're need a few minutes.
Okay. At one point, you're kind of working on some nails yourself. Let's see. Natima, one of your an elderly dwarf woman who's been working for you as long as you can remember. She's had some arthritic trouble with her hands lately, and you've been kind of letting her off work early, and so she gratefully has just gone home when all of a sudden the door burst open, and you see Cliff Hill, the gnome, walk in and look around and spots you and starts moving towards you. Cliff Hill is a handy tinkerer and inventor sort who has helped you make many efficiency improvements on your production process.
Excellent.
So Cliff Hill comes walking up, and you see he looks a bit dismayed, or perhaps anxious.
Oh, greetings, Cliff Hill. Is something the matter?
Stefan. Oh, yes. Well, hopefully not. No, I was just wondering if you had heard anything from the city, or heard any missives about anything unusual going on from Cairndal.
No, I've not heard anything. Just been making nails as usual. Is there something I should have heard? Do you need me to ask someone?
Oh, I'm not sure. I don't know. It's It's quite unusual for so many armed and armored humans to come into the Enclave. They're at the feast hall now. There must be 30 of them. Several wizards among them as well.
Oh. That doesn't sound optimal.
They don't seem unfriendly. They seem jovial, like there's some sort of a party they're expecting, but everyone's nervous. I was hoping you might know something I might pass along to calm everyone's nerves.
No, Cliffhill, I'm sorry, I don't know anything, but you know what? Let me put down my hammer, and I'll go try and find out. I'll see what I can get from them.
Good, very good. So, excellent. Thank you. I feel better already.
All right, so Stefan says to the group, he's like, I'm going to step out. Everyone, he looks at the out through the open, kind of like a barn door on the end of the workshop to where there's like a sundial outside. Sort of tries to gauge the time from this weird. And you know what? We're finished for today, everyone. Thank you very much for your time. Take an early out, and of course, payday is tomorrow, and there won't be any, docking because of that. So, thank you very much. And then he just heads out right away. Everybody knows what their job is, so they will, close the doors and sort of lock up behind them afterwards.
Okay.
And he heads down to the feast hall.
So, where is Ruga when a bunch of humans show up to fill up the feast hall?
She's actually going to be in the feast hall, just watching them, making sure they stay in line. Well, I mean, the last time humans were here, things got weird, so she's just really cautious. Her axe isn't out, but she's got a really good grip on the handle of it.
This is fairly early in the day, so there's almost no one here at the time when the doors open up, and you already hear that sort of the raucous voices coming. Doors open up, and you can see there's this huge band of armed and armored humans. There's some pointy hats a little bit further back, so probably wizards among them. Swing open the feast hall doors, and buyers who you've seen before. One of the local more popular and charismatic adventurers with big shock of red hair steps in and calls out, "Feast hall! Keeper, what was your name again? Hadar, yes? Garrick, sir." He comes walking in. Yes, Garrick! Bring out your finest food for us. We're going troll hunting today. And they all start like walking. Yeah, I bet you I'm gonna find the troll. Oh, we're all gonna find the troll. It's gonna be amazing. And they start going in and start sitting down and troll hunting. You say hunting? Yes. Bring us meat to fortify us against the great battle to come. We'll bring, if you're lucky, maybe we'll be able to spare some trophy for you to put up on the walls here. They're too bare of trophies, I should say. Ruga, how are you feeling about this?
Alarm. Ruga is very alarmed. She's going to look to see if she can find Aldea anywhere, because that's, as far as she knows, the best bet of getting a hold of our.
All right, Aldea, I don't think is in the hall. Where are you right now, Aldea?
What time of day?
Late afternoon, late morning.
Let's say that I'm just coming in from the farms and where I take my rest. Got a late start today.
Okay, and you might be coming in a little bit at this point, because when you were out there, you saw it looked like a large group of humans, looking like they were adventurers with armor and weapons, and some wizards among them. Came on up through and entered the gate into the Enclave. So You may have followed in a bit, a little ways behind them, and seen them go in and head towards the feast hall.
Yeah, I'll follow. I'm always curious about the goings-ons. Going-ons? Goings-on.
Goings on, I think. Yeah. So, Ruga, then, you look around and don't see Aldea here in the feast hall. What are you doing?
I'm gonna leave and try to locate her, because as far as I'm concerned, is like if the humans are in the feast hall, they're not hunting for any trolls, and since she only really knows of one troll,
Yeah, they're not very common.
yeah, putting distance between them and Krogu is ideal, and it's like as long as she knows where one of them is and where the other one isn't, that's a net win. So in the meantime, she's going to try to find Aldea to try to get some communicational pipelines going, since that's the only person that really has any real close relationship with Krogu, as far as she's noticed. So, yeah.
Well, I think getting up and leaving this this feast hall without drawing the attention of the raucous humans, that might call for a serene under duress roll.
All right. Come on, not a botch. 7. Oh yeah, oh perfect.
Okay, so let's see. You accomplish only part of what you sought. So I guess I'm gonna toss this back to you here. What approach are you taking? More kind of sneaky, slipping out, or just walking casually, hope they don't notice?
Yeah, just kind of walking casually. She's big and she kind of has a presence about her that makes it hard to just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna just sneak by. So she's just like, I'm gonna just walk around like I own the place and slip out.
Okay, you've
Hopefully, like not make it look like I am trying to make a beeline out, just kind of meandering around like, oh yeah, big fucking party, zoop, and
So you do manage to slip out, but you hear the humans talking about you a bunch as you're going. Like, oh, that's one of the orcs here. I think that might be their leader. Hey, we should get them over here for an arm wrestling match. See who's the strongest against the orc. No, you get squished. And like, but I could do it. Hey, and then you slip out. Manage to get away before they actually formulate enough plans or get up enough nerve to interfere with you. And when you slip out the door, you see like just a few feet in front of you is Aldea approaching the front of the feast hall.
Oh, perfect.
I blink. Thank you.
Just the person I was looking for. Hey, you haven't seen Krogu recently, have you?
Krogu, did you leave right after that?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah, you
not
haven't seen
since
Krogu since the last tale.
Not since the humans and the crystal.
Well, good. That means they haven't seen him either. Because all those people in there are looking for him, and not to be nice. It seems the wizard's threats have finally come to fruition.
You hear some, some sort of happy chanting, singing song that's being taken up in the feast hall behind you, barely muffled by the thick doors. And banging as well. They must be banging on the table. Garrick hates it when people bang on the table.
Is there anyone close by to us right now? Any humans or demi?
I guess, take a look around. Let's, I think another move for this Ken a fraught situation. Roll plus kenning.
Okay. 5.
Okay, so yeah, you're taking a look around. The area looks pretty barren. It looks like people are probably avoiding the place right now.
Okay. that was going to be the basis of my decision whether or not to speak mind to mind. So I think we're safe. So I'm just going to say I believe he would have returned home if he is not here.
Okay, that's good. But we should inform him of the happenings here, lest you get caught off guard.
And with that, I'm going to cut to Krogu. It's I guess a few days later. You did find that your precious crystal plant was intact. The humans didn't really invade very far into the cavern, though they did a lot of damage from as far as they did go. It does seem like many things in the grove aren't recovering as you'd expect, and some things that seemed perfectly fine are showing signs of sluggishness. You get the sense that some part of the grove has faded or might be continuing to fade, and you've been a little worried that it might keep happening, rather than just be a limited occurrence. Whatever the humans did here, it messed things up.
He would need to figure out the cause of this now in order to have any hope of fixing.
Okay, so you've been spending some time just observing and trying to help things heal and patch things up and cleaning things up and trying to figure out what's at the root of this. And let's see here. I guess Ken, a fraught situation seems appropriate for this as well. Give me a roll for that.
Okay. I have a troll move that allows me to use Effulgent rather than Kenning
That
for
seems
this
even more
roll.
appropriate.
So, yeah, it's a magical situation too. So, I have literally no idea what's going on. I rolled a 2. I have a total of 3. No clue what's going on.
Yeah, you actually seemed fairly confident that the damage was done, and there's more and more signs of it declining. You're sort of probably don't see it as much as a problem or as big of a deal at first, and you're only now realizing just how bad things are. You're somewhat in fear that if whatever this is spreads or keeps going, the grove itself might die.
I think he would believe, based on what he saw with the spider that came up, that this is the result of the damned wizard's magic. So, all I would know to do at this point is basically the area that's been damaged, he would destroy it to try and stop this infection or whatever it is from spreading. Like he would pound all of the crystals in that area just to powder.
All right, so you've accomplished all that. Are you kind of staying down below and keeping an eye on things and tending them and not leaving, or you're planning on heading back up to the town to see if you can find out more?
If things get a lot worse, he might go in search of Aldea to see if she's seen anything like this, or if if her connection to nature could tell him anything. But right now, he's still tending this intent.
All right, Stefan, you've walked out of your place, closed up shop for now, and started to heading over to see what's going on. You can see it looks like Aldea not too far off. Oh, good. And then right behind Aldea, that somewhat scary-looking orc that doesn't like you so much. What was her name? Oh, yes, Ruga.
Oh, great. Okay, so he
Aldea has your back
Yep.
to you when
All right.
Ruga is sort of facing her and notices you as you notice her as you're approaching.
give I think a nod is appropriate, and then greetings.
Greetings.
Stefan.
Do you Cliff Hill came by to ask me.
At that point, the front door of the feast hall slams open, and one of the humans steps out. You think you recognize them as Amos. He's one of the local adventurers, one of an up-and-comer, I guess, maybe, not super well-known. Basically, looks around a little bit, gives you a nod, Stefan, and then, steps over a couple steps to the left of the feast hall entrance, turns, cranks open the front of their armor, and takes a whiz against the feast hall.
Amos.
Holds up a finger.
That's incredibly rude.
Clanks the thing back in place and turns around. Oh, well, would have been more rude to do it in the feast hall, eh? Takes a few more steps, opens the door to go back in.
Right. So, how many of them are there?
When the door opens, you can see there's a bunch of them, at least a couple dozen, probably more. All the adventure type, wearing armor, and they got weapons strapped on. One of them standing on the table and waving a sword around and telling a story. You see Garrick, the dwarf feast hall keeper in the background, just looking really nervous, but of course he can't say anything, or he'll just make things worse.
Yeah.
And then the door closes as Amos yanks it back closed and goes on in.
Yeah. So, what are they doing here? Do we know?
They are looking for Krogu.
Looking for? What? Why?
I believe he had been spotted when the humans were here a few days ago, and they seek him as a trophy.
That's upsetting. All right. What are you two going to do? Should I try to help?
I just look back and forth between Stefan and Ruga.
Yeah,
I know what I'd like to do.
How are you feel about Stefan stepping into the situation right now? Are you relieved that a potentially hopeful human is here, or?
I mean, she's not relieved, but she is kind of like, well, good. It's your people. These are your kin. You should accept some semblance of responsibility for why they're encroaching, trying to, kill those close to me. So nonchalantly about it too.
Yeah. He's
Hmm.
Do you say these things, or is this more reflected in your demeanor?
More reflective in her demeanor. Specifically, she would say it's good you're here, because this is a problem that needs to be cleaned up, and the language that I would use to speak with them would not be so verbal.
Fair enough. Okay, well, I'll see what I can do. Hopefully, it's something useful. And he doesn't wear a hat, but he tips his non-existent hat to both of them.
While they are discussing this, can I would like to activate my mind whispers to warn Krogan.
Okay, how does this work? Because I think this might be the first time we've used this in the game, or at least this way.
Yeah, so when I attempt to speak mind to mind with someone I've previously met, I roll my plus effulgent. If on a 10 plus, no stray thought is shared. On a 7 to 9, we both carelessly share many details we'd rather keep to ourselves and must name at least one embarrassing thought or memory shared. And on a miss, our minds mesh in a confusing mess, and we must both remain serene under duress to take an action in the scene.
Okay, so this is what you did with the tainted crystal.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead and make your effulgent roll, and we'll see how that goes.
Okay. And I get an experience point.
Yay.
I rolled a 6 and a 3, which is a 9, but I have a +1 to that. So that's
the best possible result. So you get in
So-
touch with Krogu's mind, and
And since it's called Mind Whispers, the humans are here. They're coming. They're looking for you.
I am looking for them as well.
Ooh, shivers. Also, I just shared my culture with you. So you have the ability to use those mind whispers again once.
ooh.
To use what? Mind whispers?
Yep, I believe so. I'm going to double check it.
Neat.
I get to share my power with you.
Okay, that'll let you call her
What-
back later if you need to. That's handy. So yeah, along with the whispers, you get this impression of this power passing into you, entering your mind in a subtler way, sort of woven beneath the whispers, and you find that, yes, you think you might do that yourself.
I have an idea.
So, Stefan, were you planning on checking in with the humans in the hall or doing something else?
Yes. So he's going. I think the first thing he would do would be to just sort of try to understand the situation with them, and if he's gotten it right based on the secondhand report, that would be step one. To just sort of be like, "Hello, fellow young people."
So yeah, we'll cut to then back in the raucous feast hall where the humans are singing songs and waving. They're drinking a lot for a feast before they go out adventuring. Apparently, there's ale pitchers out, and Garrick has called in a few of his off-duty help in order to deal with the sudden influx of additional business. And they're all looking pretty harried and running around. And the humans are drinking their drinks and standing on the furniture and tossing cups back to the wall to shatter when they're finished, and just generally making a big mess of the place and having a good time of it. They're generally oblivious to seeming completely oblivious to that this is rude and disruptive. Like they seem to expect that this sort of like this is how they should treat this.
This is how they behave.
Yeah, they don't get to behave this way in the taverns down in Candle, but they're in the Enclave. This is where they
Right.
let loose and have some fun.
Right. I hate them already. So he's going to sort of around the edges of their merrymaking and just sort of like listen in and make some casual conversation, like, "Oh, hi, welcome, hi, that's maybe you know me from the nails."
Oh, Stefan, yes, I know who this is. He made the nails that went into my own house. Yes, good nails, good man. Oh, you should come troll hunting with us. And they yes, come hunting trolls. It will be amazing. We're going to make so much money. You have no idea what the wizard will pay for this. Especially if we capture it alive.
I see. Well, before we do that, I see we have a drink, but we do not have feast. Let me speak to Garrick about that.
One of them turns, feast dwarf. Get over here, bring some more food. We're running out. Keep it coming. We're hungry, and we've got trolls to hunt.
So Stefan then sort of lets them do their thing and makes his way over to Garrick. Makes his way over to Garrick and like in a sort of a quieter area, and he's just like, Garrick, I apologize for them. Also, their plan is
It's no
probably
trouble, Master
insane.
Stefan. I appreciate the business.
No. Yes, I understand. However, and he
Is there anything I can get for you today?
getting rid of them would be great. So here's my thought. And he's going to say, "Do you have any?" And then name an appropriate chemical agent that would act as a diuretic. Yes, like just I want something that will make them not able to do what they want to do, and I understand that this is a little bit risky, but I'll speak to them. I'll make sure that that it'll be okay, and then he also will offer Garrick 2 gold.
Okay.
To
Do you have a particular
to-
move that you'd like to use for this?
I don't know if there's a particular move that applies.
I'd say
I'm
the basic
trying
move
to
beguile someone sounds.
Yeah, so I'm beguiling them really. But I guess I'm trying to convince Garrick to go along with my plan, which I guess is kind of a fast talk.
Yeah, so I guess roll plus beguiling. We'll see how this goes.
All right, so I have a +1 to that. And I rolled an 11, so that's a 12.
Okay, so yes, if you think that's best, well, there is something. I mean, I'm not sure 100% how it affects humans, but
As long as the side effect is not death, because that would be worse.
Oh, of course not.
Okay, very good. Okay, and so he does. He provides basically a payment to Garrick to go along with this plan, pay for the damage, and also kind of a bribe, but not really. Okay. Garrick, I really appreciate your help. And once you bring out the appropriate doctored food or drink, just let me know so that I can insinuate myself back into their conversation.
Okay, so we're going to cut back out to Ruga and Aldea. What are you two doing? It looks like Stefan went into the feast hall and is hopefully going to be able to do something. Aldea's been communicated with Krogu.
I'll
next?
relay the message to Ruga as well. Perhaps we should visit him at his...
Yes, that would be good. If nothing else, we'd be able to stage an appropriate greeting for them.
If you wanted to get out of town ahead of the humans, you might want to get moving quickly.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. We'll take the trike.
All right.
I'm so excited!
So, what sort of a stabling or corral type situation does Trike have? Let's describe the scene as you approach and prepare to bring your mount into this tale for the first time.
Yeah. So like the trike, it's really like a one mount stable for my specific Triceratops. It's large, obviously. It's just kind of built similarly to like a carport, really. But it's got like decorative bones hanging on the sides. A lot of that similar like patchwork skin that's coating the top to keep it safe from shelter. The trike itself, its horns are painted red. And it's just got like this large, like kind of leathery harness on it for like two to four people to ride on at a time. I mean, it's really something just built for war. It's not like tethered or anything, so I just like swing my hand. I was like, "Let's go, trike!" And like it just stomps out of there, and just with its loud like dinosaur breathing as I bring it in, and I just kind of grab on the side and I yank myself up and I extend an arm if Aldea needs help coming up, but I don't know if she does actually.
Does Aldea need a hand, or does Aldea sort of leap lightly on the back of the trike?
She'll take it, but she helps herself up by extending one of those branches from her legs, portal style. So it just kind of like, whoop.
You can feel your Triceratops mount sort of shift under the new positioning of the weight. Not much weight, but just kind of adjusting to having someone else ride. That's a bit different. What's your Triceratops' name?
I am unoriginal, so my Triceratops' name is Spike.
Spike. All right, awesome. So you go riding Spike down the laneway toward the dark gate, and Urko, who is currently manning the gate, sees you coming and starts to open up the gate. Gives you a bit of a wave.
Spike the trike.
Spike the trike.
Actually, it's a bit of takes a look around to make sure no humans are present and gives you an orcish salute as you approach.
No, I'll return said salute.
Do you leave any instructions for her before you pass on into the tunnels?
No specific instructions. Be slow with the gate. It's got some difficulties opening.
Of course, there are recent damage from the events. Of course, which have been completely repaired. Sorry.
Well, yeah, but the repairs are never spot on. So there's gonna be a little bit of trouble opening the gate for you.
All right, now, Stefan, what was the effect you were looking to have happen as a result of the spiked food?
Oh, the inability to go far from the outhouse.
So
I would like for them to all be stuck in the restroom for the next 12 to 18 hours.
Okay.
So to lay the groundwork for that, he is going to, go back to the group and tell a story. It's so nice to have some people feasting. I don't get a lot of fellow humans feasting and as guests here because it's so hard to adapt to the different food ingredients. Sometimes people just don't react well, but this is great.
All right, I think I'm going to have you make a separate beguiling someone roll on this to see if you succeed well on this. Then they may not, they might not suspect as much.
Right.
But if you roll poorly, it might work not so much in your favor.
So my question would be, I could also use the "Trust Me, I Am Human" move, which is also a beguiling roll, but it just has slightly different follow-on effects. But basically, I want them to deflect suspicion from Garrick. Basically, is what I'm trying to do with this. Do you think that would apply?
I'm taking a quick look at it here. It's not exactly the right wording. It's more like when a demiurge character is harassing someone, but I mean, they are kind of harassing Garrick by messing up the inn and causing a ruckus. So, So sure,
okay.
Go ahead and make a roll for that.
So let me roll. That is an 8 on the dice, plus 1 makes a 9.
Okay, it means that their prior victim is forgotten and their ire will be turned on you. So, a little ways in, I guess that they start eating and they start getting ready to go and head out, and one of them goes, oh no, and then there's some sort of like noises and stuff comes running down the outside and inside of their greaves, and another person laughs and then goes, oh no, and a number of them just start having problems with just stuff going, and it's actually maybe a bit more rapid than you might expect, and a bit more
explosive.
They start like kind of running around, and some of them start looking for somewhere they can go, and the bathroom isn't big enough. Others are many of them can't actually get more than a few steps before something happens.
Oops.
It looks like the wizards are completely unaffected, and they all each one turns to you, and the one McDowell looks down her nose at you and says, "You, Stefan."
He at least partially is, he sort of casually comes over. He's not like doing it because they were so demanding, because he doesn't have to listen to them just because they're a wizard. He's like, this is very distressing.
What is occurring here?
It seems as though they're having a bad reaction to the food quality here in our little. It happened to me frequently when I first moved here.
And why did you not warn us away from the ethnic foods that would cause such unpleasant results?
Well, I mean, I did. I spoke to Amos about it, and I was everyone was so confident. I sort of expected that that this was the standard fare for everyone.
No, I think you thought you'd play a little game and have some fun on us. Well, now was not the time. We are here on an important matter. And you have tampered with it. I will not regret... I will not regret this. That's what it is. What's the word I'm looking for?
Forget?
Maybe... I will not forget this.
He's going to play the innocent. All right, well, yeah, I suppose you're free to believe what you'd like to believe, but...
The Arcanix is working on building some additional constructions, and we were certainly considering purchasing some of your products. I will find a different supplier for certain. You should think much more carefully upon where your true loyalties lie, and perhaps not be so frivolous with your practical jokes. You've been living in the Enclave too long.
Well, this is how the market works. You're free to make your own buying decisions. And he is actually going to just sort of end the conversation. He's going to walk away from the conversation.
At that point, the wizards sort of turn to each other and stand up, and they start casting spells and using some of their magic and casting them on the... Essentially, before long, you realize the spells they're casting are cleansing spells. They're sort of cleaning up after some of the messes in here, but also mainly focusing them on the people in their armor. While some of the other wizards are going around and delivering potions to the afflicted. And it's a good couple hours or so. And everyone's kind of... All the humans are seeming quite a bit more drained and definitely not so exuberant. But it seems like they've managed to get over their unpleasantness, but it caused them a significant delay. It seems like they're determined to get a move on, though, and
if they're
still carry on with their day's plan, just with some delay and less of a good mood about it. Because once you've pooped in your plate mail,
this is
you want
okay.
the day to be
I think,
over.
I
think know that from personal experience, mind you. I've never worn plate mail.
I think Stefan is still just like, this didn't work it wasn't as effective as I would like. So he's going to try another series, another scheme. But basically go back to the wizard and be like, you know what? I apologize. You were right. I think it's important to me to show solidarity. So I will come along with you on this quest. I have a sword. I think that I could be a help.
McDowell says, I don't think we need your... At which point Byers says, no, let him come along. We could use a local guide to maybe warn us away from any unknown dangers, such as the food here. Oh.
Yes, I do apologize again about that. Sorry.
Not your fault, he says. McDowell says, I think it most certainly is. And gives you a look. And Byers says, oh, just relax. We'll be fine. Thanks so much for your potions. They work quite fast. As does dwarven food, apparently. And with that, you're all sort of gathering up and moving out and starting to head toward the Dark Gate, where Urko is currently working on the gate and has all kinds of trouble getting things open. The Sorry, sir, the damage from last time, it's having trouble. Oh, just give it a push. You're a strong orc, aren't you? And the humans are starting to get a bit more impatient, and they don't seem to have... Yeah, they don't seem to have much restraint at this point. They're starting to get grumpy fast. You can see, like, the whole group of humans is starting to, like, focus their ire on this orc who's... You think might be very much trying to stall opening the gate, because you've seen the gate opened a few times. And,
Okay.
I'm gonna cut down to
Go for
Ruga
it.
and Aldea riding along, spike down the tunnels. You emerge into the crystal cavern, and there's sprays of, tiny powdered broken bits of crystal that go around. You can see there's sort of a weak pulsing light where there was once a strong one. And this place definitely seems... I don't know, Ruga, have you ever been down here before?
Not especially deep. It's not really in my interest really to do much spelunking, as it were.
I mean in the grove specifically.
No.
So this
Not
is your first time
personally.
seeing it, and so you don't really notice. You just see this unusual sight that Trav's already described with the strange crystal plants and beings, and it's pretty wondrous to you. You've never seen anything like this. But Aldea, you immediately see the signs of some sort of a blight or disease, or something's very wrong here. And yeah, a lot of the crystals have been smashed or otherwise destroyed or damaged, and you can see a pile of sort of dead, non-glowing rocks that might have once been living crystal sort of piled up in a few different spots here and there. And Krogu, where are you and how do you approach?
Probably about, I don't know, midway through the cavern, but I imagine I would have heard that. Triceratops stomping down the caverns isn't exactly quite...
Yeah, I felt as well, I imagine. So
He would come and see exactly who thinks they're going to come into his cavern now, already kind of angry, but when he sees them, he'd calm down and slow down.
okay, you've encountered one another in the Crystal Grove. You regard one another.
That's what I expected. I slide down from Spike and put a hand to the ground immediately, and I'd like to invoke the Unreal with Ranger's Knowing, which is a kenning roll.
And that's a special Elf Spark Singer move?
Yeah. So when I take the time to examine a natural feature, I learn about it. On a hit, I can ask the Demiurge questions. On a 10 plus, I can ask 3. On a 7 to 9, I can ask 1. On a miss, the Demiurge may turn my ignorance of nature against me.
Okay, I'm trying to find the list of that on here, but why don't you just go ahead and roll it and we'll... I have trouble finding the page where it describes this. With Control F, but oh well.
And I don't get a bonus to kenning. So I've got a 7.
Alright, and what does that
So I
let
get-
you do then?
I can ask just one question.
Alright, what question would you like to ask?
It gives me a list of them. So, what has been done recently to this place?
Some sort of alien magic has opened a bleeding wound, and the life is fleeing. This whole grove is dying.
Cool. I'll as I've got my hand to the ground and I kind of quietly ask my question, I'll open my eyes and look up at Krogu, and my eyes are that purple with that veiny quality to them, so it's almost like the stones are speaking directly to you.
you see the problem?
Let's, the humans are on their way. We should discuss, any course of action you would.
Sarah, do you have it on push to talk?
Yes.
Okay, there have been a few times it cuts off the last part of your word here, so
Sorry,
I'm
I'll
not
hold
sure
it
if
a
you're
little
accidentally
longer.
releasing it or if it's something else, but just thought I'd ask. It's happened a few times.
I'll hold on to it. Okay. So, what action do you wish to take?
If I cannot save it, there is one piece that must be kept by you. You will come with me, both of you. And I lead them back to the one, that very well hidden recess.
And what do they see there?
When we get there, what they see is there is a very high sort of shaft in this place. It's sort of jagged and broken, and you can't see the sky, but there's a shaft of light that's coming down, reflecting off crystals just so, and it's hitting a patch of otherwise barren rock except for one piece of crystal that has grown in sort of a very spindly, almost looks like it's cut crystal imitation of a flowering plant. There's light, coming off of it, more than is hitting it. So it's luminous on its own, and it's got at the top of it what looks like a sort of an onion-shaped orb that looks like the bud of a regular plant. Krogu looks at it, then looks back at them and says, I do not know what this will be, but it must be protected.
Is it growing from the rock?
It's growing.
So does it need to be kept as part of the rock, or will it die if removed?
I do not know. If it flowers, you could collect the fruit, the seeds. I do not know what form it will take.
I just nod in acceptance of his task, ask, whatever it is.
And what does Ruga think of this?
She's a bit out of her element with this whole situation. She's more or less trying to follow along. Like, she's willing to, preserve it, as requested, but she has, like, words were said and things happened, and she was like, "Yeah, totally. Magic stuff. Got it. This is important to you. I will definitely help and protect that." But yeah, like, otherwise she's occasionally looking back over her shoulder just in case, just to make sure that the incoming humans haven't gotten too much progress ahead.
You glance back over his shoulder and see Spike sort of like nuzzling this sort of curiously sort of nudging this kind of weird spiky thing roughly the size of a large dog, but kind of spider-like, but not quite. And it's sort of skitters back a little bit, then moves forward and grows out an appendage or something to pat the front of your of Spike's nose, and Spike sort of hunkers back and gets down and moves forward a little bit and just seems to be acting a little playful.
I guess Spike's found a friend. Well, yes, I'll definitely help in doing this for you, Krogu.
All right, Stefan, you've been walking along the tunnels with these humans. They've been fairly quiet and sort of moving with, I guess, somewhat of a military air. They've organized themselves into smaller squads, each with a wizard. And McDowell's sort of kept close near you, but also has been toward the front. Seems to have been guiding their path by occasionally casting a spell where they take out this round, clear stone that begins to glow with a bluish light, and then a tendril of light emerges from it and snakes around and kind of looks or arcs in this way or that, and then goes off to point in one direction. And then when that happens, the wizard puts the object back in their pocket, and the party heads that way. So seems to be using some sort of magical navigation tools.
Now, I don't think that Stefan is actually in any way familiar with much of these caves.
Probably not.
Just,
have you ever
it's
been
just
down
outside.
here before? Have you ever gone through the Dark Gate?
I think, I don't think he's had opportunity to do so. Not that he just was like, no, I'm not going to do it, but it just never happened. When you live somewhere, you don't always go see the local site.
Yeah, one of the first things you realize is just how much there is. You'd kind of thought of a few, claustrophobic tunnels here and there, but they're vast and wide tunnels, and they're varied greatly, different strange colors and striations to the stone, bioluminescent plants of many different types growing here and there, occasionally catching a glimpse of movement from some small lizards or snakes or other animals living down here. It's larger and stranger and more alive than you had realized.
Stefan actually really appreciates that, the difference and the beauty of it, whereas the rest of them definitely do not, I assume. And his thinking right now is basically like, is there a way that I can either slow them down more, or he's not at this point thinking of any kind of violence, but he's like, I'm not gonna let them actually hurt this person, whether they are a rock person or not. So he's starting to get a little more desperate in terms of what he's willing to try at this point. I think he'll try at one point when the light goes off through a certain way. He said, actually we can't, that cavern, the roof isn't, so we should go around. And don't shout until we get all the way around.
All right, McDowell's pretty suspicious of you. Fast talking her at this point is maybe a little.
Yeah.
It's definitely going to call for a beguiling roll, I'd say.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, let's roll it. Yeah, 11.
11. Okay, so I think the result is that she seems to looks at you suspiciously and says, "Well, very well. This had better not be some sort of a prank." And
he follows up with, just getting crushed is bad.
Gareth, she says over to one of the other pointy-headed fellows, and seems quite a bit younger, comes walking up. Gareth, Stefan tells me that the cavern ahead is potentially dangerous and we should go around it. But the targeting spell that Johnson provided me with is pointing directly that way. I'm going to need you to say no more, Gareth says, and takes out a piece of chalk and speaks a few words, and it begins to sparkle and glitter a bit. Walks over to the cavern wall and basically starts to draw this arch on it, and then finishes the spell by stepping forward and placing a hand on it, and the stone wall just sort of recedes quickly, and you can see there's a new tunnel there.
Oh, look, that's remarkable.
And Gareth says, as long as we don't take more than 13 to 16 minutes, it should remain perfectly stable. After that, well, I don't recommend being in the tunnel, but it only goes for about 150 yards to go through the aforementioned cavern, or around it rather. And the party proceeds through the tunnel and around, and it doesn't seem to slow them down much, but it does slow them down some, and you did require them to use up some more of their magic. So between the getting everyone cleaned up and back up on their feet from the diarrhea, and now this, you've caused them to use a fair amount of their tricks, just in getting past the obstacles you're laying down for them.
Completely non-existent obstacles. Love it. Okay. He doesn't actually know where we're headed. He's never been to this grove. He's never, interacted extensively with Krogu except to say something offensive. So,
and you've
it's
actually
just
never
sort of,
been down here before.
No, so it's like I'm trying to delay them because Aldea at least said that they were going to try and find him, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm doing any good or how long I have.
Right. Speaking of which, we'll cut back to the Crystal Cavern. You've been sort of discussing things and thinking a bit, and having your discussions and plans, and you all hear sounds like some distant sounds that are quite unwelcome ones. The sounds of boots upon stone floors, unstealthy boots, and many of them. It seems as if the humans are not far off, perhaps no more than a few minutes away. And it sounds like they're coming this way.
Seems we're on limited time now.
I would like to take out my my soul gem and speak to the keeper of the gates.
Okay, remind us who this keeper of the gates is.
So he's the one contact I can speak to from the next world, and he's the one that you check in with when you cross over.
All right, you sense his response, and he says, "Almost time to see me, eh? I wasn't sure if I'd get another call before we'd see one another in person."
Time is always subject to surprises in some ways. I found something, and I wanted to ask if it is part of the path to be defended or to be left alone. And I described the weird crystal bud flower thing of coolness.
All right, Krogu, or rather Trav, do you have something in mind for what this is? Why don't you tell us what's so very special about this that not even Krogu knows about it?
If this crystal flower manages to propagate, it would be a source of magic that would sort of extend the lives of the world a bit, of our world.
Okay, yes, what you describe is I suppose we might call it a seed of magic. It's part of the life here the life in that world that is fading, that will fade, but perhaps not so soon if that grows and thrives.
Thank you. I'll be in touch,
I'll see you soon.
one way or another. All right.
He always answers with, I'll see you soon.
I'll see you soon. Yeah. The most ominous way.
You live
So,
that
yeah,
long,
I'll,
everything seems soon.
Yeah,
Fair
it's
enough,
true.
yeah.
Soon 2,000 years, soon 20 minutes, who knows. But with that then, I'm going to draw my wand. And by draw, I mean I'm going to put my palm forward and it kind of shoots up from the branches within my forearm until I can grip it like a magic wand. And I'm going to go ahead and start weaving some invoking of the unreal, some to make an effulgent roll, I think.
As you're doing this, I'm curious what Ruga's doing to prepare. Are you expecting to face the humans here or get away with something? What's your plan or inclination?
Ruga's gonna hop back on Spike, and she's gonna draw her whip for the range. She's just gonna have that at the ready, more or less prepared to both gore and like drag any humans that are unfortunate enough to get, that are unfortunate enough to be in front of her trike when it comes down. Like she's kind of on a one-track mind. War is on the mind, and she obviously has an issue with humans in the first place, especially given the events of the last time they were here. And she just wants to get that nice cathartic release. But someone wants to, talk her out of going full war mode.
All right, and Krogu, you see Aldea speaking or communing with this soul gem, and Ruga readying her mount. What are you doing?
I'm going to use the Mind Whisper's ability that she has loaned me. And Krogu will reach out to Johnson, the wizard.
Oh, all right. Go ahead and give me the effulgent roll for that, then.
All right. It's a 5.
A 5,
We don't communicate. It's a jumbled mess. Oh, well.
Hold on, I want to take a look at the wording of the move here.
Both must
We both must
serene under duress.
serene under duress to take action.
Okay, so you make contact with the Johnson's mind, but it is so different from yours, and there are sort of layers of magical doings that he's done with his mind to prepare the magic that he knows, and some of that starts getting unleashed in weird ways. Maybe they're mental defenses or something else. But you are connected, and some sort of magic power starts flowing between you. And you find yourself, like, not just your mind, but some sort of mana energy is passing between, and you're like kind of stuck in it. Aldea, as you have drawn out your wand and you're prepared to cast your spell, you look over and see Krogu. Well, Krogu, describe what you look like now when you're in the throes of this. What outward signs of distress does Aldea notice?
He's probably kind of shaking, kind of rattling a bit. The seams in his skin are probably shaking a little dust out. And most importantly, the agate eyes that change color with his mood have gone almost black.
You haven't seen him behave like this before. And Ruga, you happen to turn and notice that as well. Seems like Krogu's having some sort of a problem. The sounds of the humans are getting closer. Stefan, you're with a group of humans that are getting closer to the. When McDowell takes out the stone to cast the spell again, the tendril this time doesn't sniff around; it just immediately pops up and points out in one direction. And McDowell says, "All right, take care, everyone. We must be careful and be on guard. We are close, very close."
How many people are in this group?
Yeah, about 30. Yeah, 30.
Okay, we all are together. Okay.
Yeah, they haven't split the party or wandered off in different directions. They're grouped up in squads, so to speak, but they're I mean, some of them are like ahead and some of them are behind. It looks like they're all sort of gathering up, and everyone's gonna, sort of checking their bows and loosening their blades and their scabbards and kind of just getting ready to advance. And it looks like they're just about to make their move on whatever's down here. And you can see there's a weird faint glowing from up ahead. You're worried they might have happened upon where Krogu is, based on what McDowell has been saying. This might be your last chance to slow them down. But here also, they also seem pretty determined, and McDowell's been pretty suspicious of you. Would you like to do something?
Yes, but I need a moment, an out of character moment to think.
Sure. So what we'll do is, as they're all sort of getting up, Byers, the charismatic, red-haired soldier leader of them, turns to you and gives you a pat on the back. Says, "Stefan, don't be nervous. Just stick close to me. We'll be fine. Just don't try to take the thing on yourself." Okay, just take it easy and watch my back.
Sure. Stefan is currently contemplating if he can stab anyone in the back, so that's punny.
At that point, I think we're going to take our break to give
That's
Palmer
perfect.
time to think.
I need a minute.
And because it's a good time for it. So let's call a 10-minute break from here, and we'll reconvene the game. So yes, with the offering to the gremlins having been taken care of, we're back with part 2 of our adventure. Before we jump into whatever comes next, I just want to check in and see how you're all doing. Everyone having fun?
Oh, great fun.
Oh yeah.
I'm very stressed out. I'm very stressed out by my choices.
That means
I
I'm
like
doing
this-
my job right.
Yeah, I like this group. I've never played with any of you guys before, and it's other than Opti and Cliff, but it's fun to get new trains of thought in and new innovation and voices and fun stuff.
I'm having a lot of fun playing with y'all as well. I played with none of you. Yeah, no. Then again, I think only thing I did was Optiverse so far. With Cosmic Corsair. So yeah, this is all new people for me too.
Yeah.
I guess for me specifically.
I think, Palmer, had we played before? I'm trying to remember if we've done something together or not. I can't think of something.
Remember.
It must not be, right? I know we both do so many things. We're sort of all around the same circles and everything, but I think this is the first time we've converged into a game together. Sarah, I played with you a couple times. Made things difficult for your Shadowrun character and the Shadowrun 6th edition premiere that we did, and had a lot of
And
fun
then
with
Chaos Lord.
Yeah, Chaos Lord. Oh, Chaos Lord was so much fun.
Yeah,
I just love how everyone instantly knew exactly where I was going with that character and totally hated him.
Yep. With a name like Chaos Lord.
And Z-Fade, I think this is the first time we've played together as well. Well, second time being this session.
Well, yeah, first game we played together.
Yeah. And Trev, getting to know you as well. The first time I saw your face was Monday. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely having a great time playing with this group, and you're all doing a great job. So I just want to mention that one of the things we did in preparation for this that we haven't really talked about much is we did use some safety tools going in here so we could set some boundaries. So no one. I mean, we're this this game system in particular touches on some subjects that could be problematic depending on how you cover them, or will be no matter how you cover them in some cases. We used the Monty Cook games, their free PDF, big old checklist of things, so people got to pick different things that they totally didn't want to deal with, or other things we want to be careful with. So I highly recommend doing that with this kind of game, or really any kind of game, just so everyone has a chance beforehand to express kind of what their limits and boundaries are, and that gives you the freedom to really dig in within those boundaries. And I don't know, I feel more comfortable with those now. How do you guys feel about the process we used for that?
I think it's a good step to just creating better and more comfortable gaming, more inclusive gaming experiences in general. Personally, I think it's something that, like, no one wants to bring it up in a session organically normally, I guess. So the forum really helps everyone on the same page as far as what they are okay or not okay with, as opposed to you doing a scene and then someone's just like, oh yeah, I think I'm gonna drop out. Nothing personal, and then because everyone tries to do, like, to make it polite. It's like, oh yeah, it's just not for me, and then you lose a player over something that could have been avoided.
Yeah,
So
I think
this is really nice.
I think that the strongest part of that is, that if it's marked red, like absolute no, none of this, there's also the implication is, I also don't want to explain why that is. This is just what it is, which is just really great, because if it comes up again more organically, then people are it opens the door for questions that people don't want to answer, but that is also very natural for people to ask. And just having it out there at the start simplifies things a lot.
And one other safety tool layer that I've added, because while that PDF is very useful, especially for like touching on those different issues, and not necessarily, as you said, I didn't even think about that, where you can just sort of mark it down and also say, I don't even want to talk about it. That's fantastic. Another thing, though, I wanted to make sure we expressed is that the comfort and safety of our players is more important than really anything else we're doing. So if something comes up and it makes someone uncomfortable or upset or whatever, feel free to just, we don't have an X card so much, but they say something, do the X card thing, and we'll talk about it and retcon things if need be. So anything anyone else wants to say on the topic before we find out what happens next? Okay, well, again, we're going to be getting into some potentially more nasty stuff very soon, I think. So I thought this would be a good time to bring up the discussion of the safety tools, just for transparency and to encourage anyone who's watching to consider using them, as well as to just sort of bring them back up in our mind. And I want to make sure everyone feels nice and safe and welcome, so we all have a great time. So with that, who wants to start the narration here? Who shall the camera focus on first?
All right, I'll go.
Sure.
I think I know how Stefan is going to do this.
Right.
Everyone else is in there together, making their preparations. They know that this group is coming, and they're going to have to react, probably in an unfriendly way. He is in this group, and he knows that it is coming in an unfriendly way. So he's beside this person who's just reassured him not to be nervous, and he's moved himself up toward the front so that he's sort of with what was the wizard's name?
McDowell. Yeah, and just
McDowell,
and just as you're moving up, McDowell is turning to Gareth, the one who cast the tunnel spell. Says, Gareth, conceal us to look like stone as we advance. I'm sorry, McDowell. The energy for the tunnel, I had to borrow from some of my other preparations. I'm not able to do that. Very well, it probably wouldn't have worked. Trolls are known for their sense of smell. Very
and I think so. Stefan says, "So, there. It's just up ahead. Is that right?"
Yes, we're just coming upon the crystal hive that Johnson reported encountering a number of days ago.
Excellent. Okay.
Take care. There are strange beasts growing from the stone here. It is probably the troll's doing.
Distressing. And then Stefan is going to do something dumb, which is to shout, "They're coming!" And then try to brutally attack the wizard.
Okay, so you all here, you're all in the cavern, you're starting to get ready. You see Krogu is having some trouble, shaking gradually more violently and eyes blackened. Krogu, I guess give me a serene under duress roll to see if you can snap out of this.
Well, I rolled a 9.
Is that your total?
That is my total.
Okay. Let's see here.
I guess my question would be, this person is suspicious of me, so I suspect I can't make this an ambush move, but it would instead be a brutally attack.
If you would have tried to like get one of the other humans, then maybe, because when you say they're coming, like the humans start looking around like as if they're expecting someone else to be coming. But McDowell is looking at you like, ooh, and
so suspicious, and then yes,
okay,
stabby stab.
So I'm gonna say, Krogu, that you achieve what you seek, but it will cost you more than you thought. I think what it will cost you is that temporarily, for the remainder of this tale, your regeneration ability doesn't seem to be working. So any damage you take is gonna stick around like anybody else's. For now, maybe you could take some time and remain serene under duress to try to shake this off too, but the wizard is siphoning your power somehow. Whether consciously or unconsciously, you don't know, but does it really matter?
Not effectively.
That said, maybe this can go both ways. Alright, so Krogu is sort of shaking himself loose, but definitely doesn't... Looks like there's something wrong, but maybe not is better. And then, yeah, you hear the cry of, "They're coming!" It sounded like Stefan's voice. Aldea, are you going to finish that spell you were going to start before? And I kept interrupting you with events.
No, it's fine. As I'm kind of collecting the magic, and thinking through the spell I want to cast. But I'm as I'm mustering this spell together, I look to Ruga and look directly in her eyes, and I'm gonna try to do my whispers to her again. So I'm gonna roll for that.
Okay.
I got 11. So this is actually working well for the first time.
Nice, solid, clean mind link. So yeah, Ruga, you feel the whispers of Aldea's thoughts in your mind. What did they say, Aldea?
Call to your warband, and I drop it, and there's just this seed in you, it's almost like an epiphany where you just feel like some kind of magic come alive in you, and you know that you have the ability to do the same. And then I'm gonna start I'm gonna reach down and touch the ground and tap the wand to it, and wait for it to take effect. So basically it's going to be these it's going to wait to be released. So I think I'll wait for the dramatic effect until the moment that it's supposed to set off and happen.
All right, and Roga, you heard this alarm and saw Krogu sort of snap out of whatever was affecting him. What are you doing?
Okay, so I'm feeling this new magic coming into contact with me, much different from the what is it that I do? The bloody visions that I normally manifest. And I'm gonna try to do as recommended. How does that work? Do I just roll 2d10 organically?
And
Plus-
it's your effulgent.
Okay.
It's 2d6, by the way. You
Oh,
have
yeah,
been rolling
2d6.
six-siders all this time, haven't you?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
good.
2d6. Definitely sixes. Ooh, yep, that didn't work. 4.
Okay, so you reach out to the minds of... Who are you reaching out towards?
I'm trying to reach out to the orc at the gate.
Urko? Okay. So you contact Urko's mind, and you get this shame and this sense of failure. Urko is very upset with herself that she was not able to stall the humans for more than a couple of minutes. And that just like the shame of the failure pouring over and the nervousness that you're down there and she lets you down at just the most important moment where she could have done something important. That just overwhelms you for a moment. And you're not able to get any message through to her. But when you look up, you see that Spike has sort of made these chuffing noises, and the crystal creature that was playing with him before sort of moves up and steps up alongside, and then you sense some movement around, and a number of different like strange crystal forms and beasts are stepping up to on either side of you to it's like they're forming a battle line.
Oh, sweet. That's a convenient.
It seems like you have a warband of sorts with you.
I'll take it.
All right, we're gonna cut back to Stefan. The wizard has cast a spell at you. Let's see here. What's the? But I don't roll dice out of here. You guys roll dice, and we find out what happens.
So I was hitting him with my sword if I could.
Oh yeah, you have to. You're attacking him. So yeah,
Yes.
let's resolve it based on your brutally attack roll then. So roll plus
Yes.
brutish.
Well, yes, you did give me brutish as a highlighted
I did
ability,
encourage
so
you
I
to
figured
do something like this, didn't I? Yes.
that. So you're welcome.
This is not
also,
quite what I had in mind, but you know.
I have achieved a 13.
A 13. Okay, so
I rolled double sixes. My
Okay,
dice are on
so
fire tonight.
you-
Shadowrun dice.
you run McDermott through, and her spell comes out as fluid from her lungs before she drops and fades in front of you. And then you hear the cries of "Traitor! We're betrayed!" around you, and you finally suddenly find yourself in the midst of a hostile human armed force.
Excellent. I defend myself.
All right, so you all hear there's some sort of a scuffle then down that way, and Stefan, you are undoubtedly going to be overwhelmed and killed unless something miraculous happens to prevent it, because you have like 29 angry humans trying to kill you right now.
Yep.
And you're not an adventurer, really.
No, I am.
More of a
I am a
merchant.
merchant by trade. Yep.
So, how would you like to do this?
I believe that my initial reaction is going to be to try and run away.
That sounds wise.
In sort of, like a football kind of fashion. Just sort of put my arm out and just flail my elbows and try and get past all these armored folks. If I happen to run into another wizard, though, I want to put a sword through them too.
All right, I think I'm going to say that you're going to be taking harm here.
Yes.
We'll say a total of 2 harm, like nasty harm, because like some spells being cast at you, maybe some swords are being swung, maybe a ranged attack, and you're trying to survive this and get through and get past.
Okay.
So you're gonna blacken 2 flowers of mortality.
Okay, I do have I do have an armor of 1 underneath of my clothing.
That means that you get to roll 2 dice and add. Let's see. When someone is harmed, roll 2d6 and add the harm amount minus the armor. So instead of adding 2 to this roll, you add 1.
Okay.
Roll to see
I
how
have
you withstand
gotten.
the harm.
I don't know if high or low is good, but I have gotten 5.
Low is good. Okay. So you actually your armor saves you from the crossbow bolt that would have penetrated right through and hit some important organ, but you're struck by that and you're slashed by a sword, and some sort of a spell nails you somehow, and you just see spots and screaming faces for a short time. You come stumbling out into the front area of the crystal cavern, broken bits of powdered crystal tinkling around you as you cast them about as you're running in.
I think that he basically, as he gets into that bigger area, Stefan actually also will he just trips and falls and gets some extra cuts from crystal shards that are on the.
Okay, and you sort of look up and see there's a big ass triceratops nose in front of you, and look up and see the spikes, and look up and see Ruga looking down on you. Ruga, what do you say?
It appears I've misread you. You're not bad for Tuskless.
He gets a big grin on his face, and he says, "There's still 29 left."
At that point, you hear, "Rah!" The humans start charging after into the cavern, very angry at the one, especially at the one who murdered McDermott or McDowell. Sorry. I guess Krogu or Aldea, do you have something you'd like to do at this point?
Yeah. As they start funneling into the I can't use my words today, guys. I'm blaming the back pain medicine. So as they start funneling into this bigger area, the ground begins to quiver, and thorny vines start coming out from the ground and wrapping around them, holding them in the air, skewering some of them. That's my invoke the unreal.
I'll modify this to say that instead of what usually happens, all the vines and vine-like things are crystalline in form instead of plant-like.
Cool. That's new. Aldea is amused by that. And then would you like me to use that as my invoke the unreal, or would you like me to use that as my... It's called something.
If you're using a special move to do this, use that.
Raw Eldritch Might. That sounds cool.
It does.
That does sound cool.
So let's do it. And I can use Effulgent instead of Brutish to brutishly attack, so that's cool. So yeah, okay. Six.
A 6? Oh my. What page is this ability on? Or is it in your playbook, I imagine?
Yeah, it's in my play. Page 51.
Okay, so essentially you're doing a brutal attack with your magic then. So there's this, all these crystals are like sticking out and they're attacking. So you essentially failed a brutish attack roll.
So yeah,
And
these vines are just swinging around but aren't doing any damage.
On a miss, the demiurge may visit violence upon you. So, and essentially, you're it's working. These vines start coming out, they're grabbing people, slowing them down. There's the broken powdered ones that Krogu smashed extra to sort of quarantine, in an attempt to quarantine the thing, and they're sort of rising up in swirls and like getting breathed in by some of them that are coughing, and it's starting to slow down their advance. But one of the wizards, by the name of Cassandra, most of you probably don't know her name, but Stefan, you do. She's actually dated a cousin of yours back when she was going to the Arcane University. Your cousin cheated on her, and they broke up a long time ago. But she summons up she summons up some magic and of her own, and takes out it basically takes out what looks like an old like dried up nut of some kind, which you realize is actually like some sort of mummified heart, and she points it at you and crushes it, and then you feel this crushing pain in your chest. You take 1 point of harm, so blacken one of your flowers of mortality, and make a roll to resist harm, and you don't have armor, so it doesn't matter that it doesn't help. So
Okay.
So roll 2d6 and add 1, Aldea.
I got a 7. Oh wait, 2d6 and add 1?
Yes.
Oh, okay, 8.
Okay, with an 8, let's see here. I'm also going to choose, in addition to the harm, you lose possession of something. Your wand, no, that's too much. I'll let you pick. Tell me something that's really important to you that would be a disadvantage for you to suddenly do without, that you now lose possession of. It doesn't have to be a thing even necessarily. Feel free to be creative about it. Actually, I'm going to let you think about that as we move to Krogu.
Okay.
I will offer a suggestion that blackening a petal on your flower of weariness would be appropriate.
Harm and weariness?
Yeah, if you want to choose that. But Krogu, looks like the humans are charging into your cavern, and the cavern seems to be ready to fight back, and is fighting back at Aldea's urging to some degree. What are you doing in this? Are you moving forward with it, or are you kind of toward the back? Would the humans be able to notice you at this point?
Oh, they can see me. He's huge,
Okay.
and he's not the same. He looks like stone, but I mean, he's also carrying a carved log. For God's sakes, Krogu would, I think, shake his head in weariness and just start walking towards them. Not running, not charging, not even looking terribly angry. He's just walking towards them right now.
Okay, is there any sort of move you'd like to do other than just sort of close the gap? The troll! I see the troll!
I think if Stefan is far enough back, like if he's not in the line, and I see that he's been harmed,
yeah, he's definitely bleeding.
I would definitely pick up a piece of just sort of snap a small piece off of himself that's kind of causes a spark.
Off of you, not Stefan, right?
Off of me, yes.
Fair enough, just clarifying.
Yeah, I'm going to snap a piece off of you. And he would rub it between his palms, between his fingers, so it's kind of an ashy ember. He would look at Stefan and say, "Eat this for what you've done." And he'd roll the fruiting body move.
All right. That's ominous, Stefan, considering that you you've affronted him at least once before here. So
Take this. This is my body.
Total of 7, so it's a weak hit. So he will heal a point of the flower of life, but it's a painful process.
okay, yeah. So you heal some damage, but the wound sort of tightens closed around, and it just itches really badly, for so badly that it feels like you're burning. You've never felt itching to be this painful before, and then it passes and you feel better.
And after that, Krogu will continue walking towards the line, just slowly.
All right, and at this point, then the humans rushing forward, and they take the objective of the entrance to the cavern, which is where you're all in. So they have enough forces here where they can take this at this point and occupy it, though they can't push past yet to get towards what you're trying to protect. That said, they seem pretty focused on there being a troll here that they're going to get paid for. So, Ruga, what do you do?
I'm gonna steer clear of Stefan with my trike to not crush him, and I'm gonna just rear and go for a charge on these troops with my trike.
All right. So as you charge
it's got
the
neutral speed, but it does have +2 armor.
Yeah, as you charge forward, the crystal creatures are charging along with you, kind of following your lead. You get the sense that whatever these things are, they're not used to like battles or whatever, and they've gotten the sense that maybe you know what you're doing here, and they seem to be going along with it for now. So they enter battle with you. So I guess there's a few different things you could do. You could try to essentially take an objective, in which case you might push them back to the tunnel entrance. You could essentially just brutally attack and try to maim and kill.
I'm gonna go for take the objective, but also it's beguile to intimidate people, correct?
Sure, that seems appropriate.
Alright. I mean, I get to roll brutish for it anyways, because with fearsome courage, since I don't actually have any actual armor. But yeah, so I'm gonna just like, you fall back as I push onward with before I start, cracking skulls and chopping people up. That's my play. It's just try, in my attempt to take the objective, I'm gonna just try to bully them away from me.
Okay.
All right. 8. Okay. Whew.
Okay, so on an
Let me see
8,
what I get on an 8 there. Oh, I have to look at what Beguile does
So-
on an 8.
which move is this?
This is just a, it's gonna be under Beguile. I'm trying to see how it manifests, because I mean, ultimately it's just an Intimidate check. But I'm just using, my Brutish because of my, one of my, I guess it is technically a move, but it's just a modifier to a Beguile. So it 8 on using Beguile to,
Okay. So, yeah, they sort of, like, halt their advance on it, seeing a Triceratops with an orc here, too, and the human cultist, and, like, then taking in the elf, and the troll who's right there. This isn't going to be as easy as they thought. And Byers, the charismatic human warrior with the shock of red hair, stops as, It's the orc fugitive, the one who slew the guard! You will face justice this day!
Racist.
It seems like they've all, like, they're sort of, like, been halted some, and they're, like, they're slowed down in their advance. They're not charging forward as they were. But you also, it seems that, like, they've mistaken you for the orc you helped escape justice earlier, weeks ago.
Yeah. That's fine.
Because,
I'll take credit for that.
all orcs look the same to them.
Different colors. It's a whole bag of Skittles out there. And it's like, yeah, that's the one. Like, are you sure? I'm pretty sure it was the purple one, but you know what? Screw it. Let's do this.
All right. who wants to do something next? It seems like they're kind of halted for the moment, but they're not going to pause for long. You've got a brief moment to react and take some sort of an action. And you're facing off against them. Besides
I'd like to-
Stefan's attack, no one's actually killed anybody else yet. So
I'd like to continue my wand power thing. My raw eldritch, whatever it is, blast rage. And then I'd also like one of the tendrils to pull Stefan over toward us and towards safety away from the...
Stefan's actually behind the line of charging
okay.
crystals and triceratops, so
So he's safe.
relatively safe.
Okay.
Relatively safe.
All right, then let's just focus all this rage on them.
All right, you unleash some eldritch power. Go ahead and make your brutal attack using brutish. Or no, effulgent in your case, right?
Yeah, and this time I got an 8.
An 8, okay. You choose, or your victim chooses one of the following. Okay, so you inflict harm. I'm gonna say like you just call upon like some of the like chopped up and dusted crystalline bits are floating around, and one of the people who've just been coughing, like more of them just pours into their lungs and their mouth, and they're just disintegrated from the inside out.
Ooh.
And
that's pretty cool.
the other option is meekly showing no threat. So some of the humans, like a couple of them seeing that, just drop their swords and run like hell the other direction. This is not what they signed up for. That was not cool. So yeah, you managed to kill one of them and chase some of the others away. It seems like most of the rest are still there. I guess who else would like to do something?
I would.
All right, Krogu, what are you doing?
Krogu will finish walking up to the line, and he will raise his staff and just slam it down 3 times hard and say loudly, but in a whisper, "Stop! One among you is the leader. Show yourself."
All right, go ahead and give me a beguiling roll. I think this is close enough to beguiling someone.
I am not beguiling. Oh, 8.
8, okay. They do sort of stop, and then one of them says, "That was McDermott! The cultist killed her!" And then Byers, the red-haired dude, steps, "I guess that's me. I didn't know your kind could talk human speak. Well, will you come with us peacefully? We get paid a lot more money to bring you back alive."
Look around. What do you see?
A lot of strange crystalline monsters. An orc fugitive, a human traitor, an elf. You've been conspiring against us all this time to bring back the dark days, haven't you? Well, it won't happen. Your time is done here, dark beast. The humans are ascendant, and this is our world now.
You are more correct than you know about that. All of this, contained here in the cavern, is dying because of what your wizard did. So now, You and I shall go and see him. Because before I go, I have a secret to tell him.
Very well. Kneel down and we shall bind you for the trip.
I will kill all of you before you bind me, but I will walk of my own accord. You get paid either way, yes?
They're all sort of looking over at each other, and he looks back at some of the wizards who. I like getting paid. the other warrior behind Byers says. Very well. Stand aside so we can deal with these fugitives, and you may accompany us back to the city.
I'm going now. You can come with me, or you can lose your goal. And he just begins to walk forward, like, past them or through them. It's up to them.
All right, they step aside, and Byers sort of waves his gauntlet around and says, Squads 3 and 4, dispatch the traitor and the fugitives. I don't care what happens to the elf. The rest of us, diamond formation around the troll. And they start to maneuver, I guess. Some of them moving up, stepping up as if to attack. Others starting to take up formation, kind of originally behind or ahead of, around the troll. It seems like they're giving the troll a rather wide berth, but...
Krogu will say back to the ones that are staying, I am sure you can trust that the gold will be there waiting for you after those of you who survive this come back. Yes. And then keeps walking.
As you're saying that, Stefan, you look up and see between the crystals, looks like a couple of people are raising crossbows and pointing them towards you.
Sounds
You're
like
not so
something
sure you're going to get lucky a second and third time.
Yep.
What are you going to do about it?
I believe that the correct response is to unexpectedly attack.
Okay, so you're rushing forward with your sword, or do you have some other weapon?
I have a dagger. I think that I will throw it at the one on the left.
Okay. Go ahead and make your, I think, brutally attack roll.
Yeah, for sure. That is a 9.
Okay, yeah, with the 9, you throw that dagger, and it, like, strikes right into the head of that person. They grab it and just fall to the ground dead. The other crossbow bolt, unfortunately, swats right into you for 2 more points of harm. And make another resist harm roll or withstand harm roll.
Yeah. I totally
You have an armor to subtract for that one, right?
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
The armor doesn't take away from harm, it reduces the roll.
Yeah.
The bonus on this roll.
So it is my roll plus the harm I took minus my armor.
Yes, so a net +1, I think, right? Because you have 1 armor?
Yep. Yes. So 11.
11, okay. That's not good for you, actually.
It depends what is good. I mean, it's not good for Stefan, but Palmer is interested to see what happened.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's an additional +1 harm, so blacken another petal on your
All right.
mortality.
Where's my thing? Oh man, I am.
I think you're on the last She Loves Me
I
Not
am-
after this.
1, 2, 3. No, that was one. No, because I healed one, so
good.
I have 2. I have 2 left still.
Okay. She still
I don't
loves
feel
you.
good. I don't feel good.
So Palmer, so we don't cross paths for session 3, what new character are you rolling?
Yes.
Oh, I'm going to be the cousin who cheated on.
Oh no!
Perfect.
He's the same character. He just takes over the same business. It's fine.
Cassandra's in the process of casting some sort of a spell at Aldea to attempt to counter your magic. What would you like to do about that, Aldea?
After seeing the attack on Stefan, and I don't believe that they are like the stone. The flower stone is still in danger with them here. So clearly these ones didn't get the message that the other ones did. So I'm going to attack again.
All right, so you carry on unleashing your Eldritch Might, or are you doing something else?
I think I'm going to do the Eldritch Might, and I think instead of trying to wrap around these like the vines have been doing, like they're just going to go for a straight like impale, and see what that does.
Is there any way that I can assist? Like do a help move?
Not that I know of. Does anyone else have an idea?
There's the Gnosis roll, but how you would apply that?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. That is how you use that. So let's do that then. Give me a moment.
If nobody has done that, that sounds like a great time to do it.
Yeah, we'll try to.
There's the help or interfere with someone move right there. You have a plus
Perfect.
2 Gnosis with Aldea, so you roll and add 2 to your roll. And what are you doing to help?
That is a good question. So she's going to cast this spell.
Well, ultimately she's fighting them, right? So
she's fighting. Yeah, I think that like he still he threw the knife at the one that and killed the one and got hit by another crossbow bolt. And I think that he knows that this fight is continuing, and this person now has to reload a crossbow, which takes it's not a 1 second job. So he's going to just go at that person with his sword. And maybe it might distract them from the impaling spikes.
Okay, you're in a lot of pain as this giant crossbow bolt is still sticking through your torso. And
I
you
do
can feel
take
it
a
grinding as you
penalty
move.
from harm, right?
Not necessarily. I'm just describing it narratively.
Okay.
So, but go and roll, there's no legacy penalty between you and elves either. I think that's an elf dwarf thing. So
I have a legacy penalty with everyone.
Oh, okay.
Unless I have positive gnosis with the character.
Okay. So just roll and add
I'm
plus 2
fine. I'm fine in this situation.
Okay.
Phew.
Well, let's see how much you help or not.
Let's see. I get an 11.
11. Okay. So
what does it?
Aldea,
What does this do?
You take an extra plus 2 on your roll.
Ooh, that gives me a plus 3. That would be a 13 total.
Yes.
Oh yeah, with a 13, several humans are just brutally killed and crushed and impaled by these no longer entangling but now murderous crystal things. And some of the crystal creatures are jumping in on the action. They make relatively short work out of a few of them, including the other one who had fired the crossbow. Which was too focused on Stefan to see the strange thing dropping down from the cavern ceiling above it. Aruga, there's battle going on. You're in the midst of it. What would you like to do?
I'm going to jump off of my my Triceratops, and since I've got like my whip in one hand, my axe in the other, although the whip's my primary, I'm gonna just whip my axe out and cleave someone unfortunate enough to be under me as I leap from my my Triceratops.
All right, yeah, you see Cassandra right there in her pointy hat trying to cast spells at Aldea. Apparently her magic was not countering Aldea's.
Ah, great. I cast axe!
All right, make your brutal attack roll.
Orcish magic is my favorite magic.
5, 3 plus 2, 10. And it is a 2 harm axe. No, wait. Let me double check.
If it's like a
No,
sword,
3 harm.
3.
3 harm, close, and bloody.
It's very bloody and close.
Ooh.
You very much just make a horrible, messy corpse out of what was once a very educated human. with the eldritch power of her own to some degree, but no more. Yeah, Cassandra is ex-human.
She was already an ex.
Now that's what I call dispel magic.
All right.
Nice.
With that, there's some of the humans who are leading the trolls back. They're starting to like hurry up, like let's get out of here since we get paid and let those others do their job. They don't seem to be as motivated in like jumping back in that fight. However, there's still one other wizard back here. Let's see. I haven't named that one. Let's see. Looking at the human names, let's make this one Wendell. This wizard is named Wendell. There's a lot of W's worked into this wizard's robes and
I don't like
items. And Wendell is a water mage. So Wendell takes out a bottle and pops open the cork, casts a spell, and water comes rising out and freezing into spears and striking out towards you. I'm just going to take a reaction move as a demiurge here and inflict harm on all of you. You all take 2 points of harm from the magic spell.
Oh no.
I've played Pokemon. Water doesn't do much damage to
to
plants.
grass. Oh no.
Nice try. It's not very effective.
Stefan, impaled and bleeding from multiple wounds, falls to the ground.
Well, Stefan, if you roll well enough on your resist harm roll, I'm going to have some other effect in place of one of those points of harm. So
All right.
we'll see how this goes. Everyone roll 2d6, add 2 to that, but subtract any armor bonus you have from that number. We'll
I
start with
got
Stefan
a
because we'll end with Stefan because that's the most tense.
Oh no.
So we'll start with
Okay.
Krogu. Krogu, temporarily with no regenerative powers, is being struck by spears of frozen water.
If he's hitting me and I've already kind of left, isn't he hitting his own people?
Oh, that's right. You've wandered off with the other humans, so they're not actually targeting you. Never mind. I'm sorry. Too much to keep track of sometimes. All right, Ruga, you are struck by spears of water. As there are some crystals around you, one of which shatters, other ones seem to bear it quite well. How about you?
I'm angry. No, first question though, is my 1 harm from session 1, is that still a thing today?
Let's
Because
say...
I had to cut myself because I was getting into
If you have
the,
less than 3 petals blackened, then they heal with time. So.
Yep. So that's healed up.
Alright. So then yeah, I rolled 9. I do not think I did well.
Okay. You have been not only have been struck, you only take 1 point of harm. You only blacken 1 petal of mortality. However, one of the magic spikes hits your axe with such force it rings and vibrates through your hand, and despite all your training and determination, it goes flying from your hand to land yards away in the cavern.
Unfortunate.
Let's see how Aldea does.
I rolled snake eyes.
That's actually good for you. So. Oh,
It's
wait,
good.
hold on. I'm sorry, Ruga. That does not reduce the harm taken. You just suffer that effect in addition to the harm.
Okay.
In your case, Aldea, I can reduce the harm by 1 and have an effect take place. So I'm going to say you were bowled off your feet, knocked to the ground, and go sort of rolling and sliding across the cavern wall to smash into a crystalline tree. Otherwise, you take the 1 point of harm instead of 2
Okay.
to your flower of mortality. And then, Stefan, how did you roll?
I got a 9.
A 9? Okay, so... well, you're bowled off your feet by the harm as well, but your flower of mortality has been completely blackened and your life has become untenable. Your character may die, or you may choose some other result. This is the first time this has happened, so let's make sure we do this right.
All right, let me read about it if there's anything else we need to move on to while I can check it out.
Let's see, mortality. If you're the traitor, you get to either return to life, but with -1 brutish, or die. Decide now.
Oh, no, I will take -1 brutish for sure.
Okay, so you're like knocked back, you're horribly injured and weakened, and you're laying on the ground not too far from Aldea. Sort of ears are ringing, the battle's going on around you, and you're just in so much pain. But you can erase all the damage on your mortality things. I think it's all of it. Oh no, you returned with harm. So I'm gonna say
I feel as though I should just have 1.
I'm going to say that the crystal cavern responds in an unusual and unexpected way, and you find yourself being infused and surrounded by this energy, you think, but then you realize it's actually like crystals kind of growing around you, and you are fully encased in crystal in short order as you're sort of laying there dying. All right. I guess Ruga or Aldea, which one of you would like to do something next?
I am very interested in doing something next.
Go for it.
With my whip, I am going to strike at Wendell and hopefully hit him, because this thing is actually kind of nasty.
All right. Is another brutal attack then?
Yep. 11.
11. Okay. That's pretty effective. You inflict harm as described, so
Yep.
it sounds like there's
It
something
is,
special to this. Why don't you tell me what happens
It
to poor
has
Wendell?
it has entangling. So when I whip him with this, it's like, first of all, the whip itself is more. It has more in common with barbed wire than it does a regular whip, from what it's described. Like, it's just really nasty. Like, where's the actual description real fast? Because it's like you pick 2, and I just chose 2 weapons because of course I did. Yeah, it's a spiked bull whip, so it's just this nasty spiked whip, and I lash at him, I grab him with it, and I can use entangling to hold someone or something fast, or to reel in a target if you hold part of the accoutrement, which I'm gonna just reel him in.
All right, so yeah, Wendell's just screaming with such high-pitched noises coming from him as you've wrapped him in barbed wire and you're yanking him towards you. Sort of on the ground, kicking and bleeding as you're pulling him towards you, and Aldea, you're on the ground. You've been knocked aside and injured, but you're still here. You can see Stefan being encased in crystal, and you just sort of see the finish of that. And he seems kind of stuck in there for now. It doesn't. You think the crystal is probably trying to help him though, with your sort of kenning of the situation. But what would you like to do?
I trust the Grove. So, is Wendell left alive?
He's by the noises he's making, he's way louder than a dead thing. He's in a lot more pain than a dead thing. So,
and Wendell's the last thing last human in here alive, other than
there's 4 or 5 like warriors still from squads 3 and 4 that haven't been killed by crystals or otherwise incapacitated. They seem kind of pale and unsure of their life choices at this moment.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead this time, and like the wand kind of gets eaten back into my arm. Eaten is so the wrong word. But and then I'm gonna just like reach out both of my arms and have them kind of like turn into branches, and impale 2 of the bad guys.
All right. Are you doing more Eldritch Might then, or something else?
If you want to classify this as Eldritch Might, or it could just be brutally attack.
Okay.
Let's go with Eldritch Might, because then it's effulgent, and I get experience points with that.
Sounds wise to me. And appropriate to the situation.
I rolled 10, which gives me 11.
All right, so you impale 2 of them, and then the other 3 just like drop their swords and I'm gonna go get paid. And they turn and run. We didn't come down here for fugitives. So you've impaled these other ones. You're like, they're still alive. And they're harmed, but they're kind of stuck there for the moment. So currently there's a number of corpses around here that are actually being kind of grown over by Crystal as well.
Good.
As
I was
well as,
hoping that we could hide the evidence in the atmosphere here.
As well as the there's Wendell who's still screaming and flailing as Ruga, you're pulling him in. He's pretty much at your mercy. What are you doing with him?
Man. I'm gonna just honestly, I'm gonna let out the frustration I had at that previous wizard, Johnson. I'm gonna let my frustrations out with him out on this one, and I'm gonna curb stomp him.
All right, you squish this wizard like a ripe fruit, and that's the end of Wendell the Water Mage.
All right.
There is something
That's the Wendell of him.
I'm angry now. I attack Krogu.
Krogu.
I think actually
I'd like
I'm
to
gonna
do a
cut.
mind.
Oh, sorry. I'm gonna go ahead. Do what you're gonna do.
I'd like to do a mind whisper to one of the orcs of the horde and tell them that I have a message from Ruga to not let the humans leave that tunnel alive coming back to the Enclave.
Okay.
Warband. Totally unaffiliated horde.
You've met Durab Tulloch before, the one who was manning the gate during the incident last time. So you reach out to Durab Tulloch's mind and go ahead and cast your spell. Roll and add your effulgent, I believe.
7. So that means we both carelessly share many details we'd rather keep secret to ourselves.
Okay, so Durab Tulloch learns a lot about you and what you believe and know about different paths and things, and has this massive level of weird knowledge that wasn't meant for them. You, on the other hand, you feel like you get the sense of this orc's life, and you end up I guess I'm gonna call upon a player for this. Ruga, since you're the orc player, what interesting aspect of orcish culture or something that's fairly like I guess visceral or deep down gets sent to Aldea?
Actually, to Aldea, this, I think, the best information to extract would be what is the orcish interpretation of the what is it called? The blood chaos. So you'd likely see like an entirely different side of the spark, where it's just very war centric and gruesome, and it's just this really just where you get to see into like the inside of why orcs are such a war heavy species, where it's like, oh yeah, their first knowledge, like that's how the spark speaks to them, is through violence. And so you get to just see this really visceral essence of combat as you break into this person's head.
I don't get you, but okay.
I don't understand.
Why does this matter to you?
I'm going to say there's one other effect from this. Like, whereas before, you as an elf, you had this sort of sense of destiny and knowledge of fate, and these are the paths and the way things go, and you've always known that to be the truth and the way things are, and it's been just foundational, ultimately, to you, I think. What this does, in addition to showing you more of what orcs are like, it also shatters the illusion that you have it figured out. You realize that your way of looking at the spark and the paths of events and things that you've been so certain on all your life, the many thousands of, or hundreds of, or maybe even thousands of years, you've been lying to yourself about what else is out there, and what you know is just a little bit.
May I make a remain serene under duress roll?
Yeah, that sounds appropriate.
All right. I rolled a 3, which gives me a 4. So because of that, I mentioned in part of the Elven culture thing that we talked about in last episode that we have almost a hive mind to share knowledges and conversations and everything like that, and we can block those. But because I could not remain serene, I did not block, and now that realization has gone to every elf that still exists in this world.
Okay, good point. I'm going to say blacken a petal of your flower of weariness, as does every elf in this world.
My heart is sad.
And I think that's what we're going to end the tale on, with the rest of you having finished off or somehow surviving, so to speak, the attack from the humans, repelling some of them. The crystals are dissolving the corpses of the ones that they've had, but releases Stefan, actually, I'm going to say fully healed, but weakened from the crystal cocoon, mere minutes after, well, nearly dying. And Krogu walking away in the custody of a little over a dozen or so humans, heading back up. I think that's where we will end this particular tale. Oh my gosh, that was so cool.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I was dead.
You were dead. The little humie that could.
Oh man.
I think it's poetic too that the spark will last longer from this crystal flower, but that also is turned into meaning that more elves are closer to leaving this world. Ouch. My heart.
Ouch.
Yeah.
I I did a lot of things that marked experience in this session.
Me too.
Yeah. So I guess before we finish, we need to end the tale. There's some things we do for that. I'm just gonna say that you absolutely have blackened one of the petals of human antipathy. By
What?
Yeah. I don't think there's any debate or consensus really required. Do any of you have any reasonable objections to this? Because I can't imagine one.
If the orcs end up killing every single human coming out of that tunnel, there's no one to tell them.
Yeah, but 30 humans just end up dead going into a cave.
Disappeared.
Also-
Yeah, that's. I mean.
Also, Durab Tulloch does not follow your orders. Durab Tulloch does not take orders from you. Without orders from his war chief.
I had a name last. I lost. I forgot what it was. I had it like at 2 a.m. I was like, "That's what I should call." Lost. We're gonna go with war chief though. That
Okay.
works.
Yeah, without orders from his war chief, he's not going to take a drastic action like that. especially after the whole like weird, shattering magical experience he had. So yeah, the orcs
Fair
will not
enough.
intervene to kill all the humans getting through. They do in
All
fact
right.
walk Krogu all the way back to the city, but we'll deal with all that fallout later.
Yeah, I'm going to color in one of the petals on my flower of suspicion, because that seems appropriate.
I mean, you might have
Or,
behaved a
or
little
more.
suspiciously.
Or more.
There is cause to be suspicious, but on the bright side, Rug is gonna buy you a drink.
An unlikely friendship.
Yeah.
I think as far as ending the tail goes, that's really the only thing we have to do, unless any of you have any particular moves or things that
Isn't
would...
the Gnosis thing a thing?
Marking Gnosis on each other. Yeah.
Yeah,
That
so I'm
definitely would
noticing
give
that here.
give Stefan some Gnosis on Ruga there for doing the right thing and drawing blood. Then again, also Aldea. Man, there's lots of people that gain some additional insights into orc culture today.
And here you go. Yes, when ending the tale, you may cause someone else to mark experience. You judge who understands more about you after this tale and tell the company member to increase Gnosis of you by +1. If that brings them to +4, it resets to +1 and marks experience. So, yeah, +1 Gnosis with Ruga. I think that brings you to -1. No, to 0.
To 0.
Right? Yep. All right, yeah.
Yay, we're even.
Got a long road to hoe there. All right, I guess Krogu, would you like to? Who would you like to improve Gnosis with?
I would say probably Aldea, because now she knows about the flower.
Okay. What does that bring you up to with Krogu, Aldea?
3
Okay.
+3.
So it stays there until you go one higher. Aldea, who are you going to mark or have increased Gnosis with?
I think Ruga. I think sharing the Mind Whispers for the first time, and yeah.
Yeah,
So
also
I think,
connecting the elven and orcish people in a way that you'd never expected.
Yeah. Yeah, I there may be regrets, but that's where we are.
I wonder how many elves were like one petal away from moving out of the next world.
Yeah,
when that happened.
I basically just murdered a bunch of elves. That's cool. Well,
there's
I mean-
there's only like 8 of them anyway. So.
Now there's 4, right?
Yeah, but I mean, like, do they die? Do they like? They went on. They left. It's fine.
their bodies die, but their consciousness goes on to the next world.
Yeah.
I'm
No,
so
no,
curious about that, because it seems like if they all realized that they have had a profound misunderstanding of something, that might actually drive them to be more interested in the world, especially in the orcs that they've so completely misunderstood this whole time.
Yeah, but it's also like a total shock and kind of a shattering of some of the underpinning foundations of their certainty of their place in the universe as well. So many of them are recoiling from like, oh crap, I'm out.
Yeah,
That's
like,
enough.
I think they're going to spend a lot of time in their in the next life thinking about this situation. But that's
I mean, yeah, that's the thing is, I mean, like, well, like the nature of the spark doesn't seem to inherently be violent, but then you see like the blood chaos, and it's just like, oh wow, when did this
that's
get
just
here?
violent as hell.
This is extremely geez.
All right,
It's like expecting a rom-com and you walk into a Tarantino film and it's just this is not the content that I was anticipating to see, right?
all right, we're a little bit
Say
over
that
time.
like Tarantino films aren't rom-com.
I want to wrap this up
Touché.
quick here. One thing, Stefan, who's getting higher Gnosis of you from this? Could be any of them, I imagine. You stuck your neck out for all the non-humans today, but
Yeah, I think probably back at
yeah, Ruga.
I think
Okay.
so.
All right, we're
Has that
Sounds good.
best friends.
Now
we had a connection.
Now, Z-Fade, who is playing Ruga, is not going to be joining us tomorrow. So this is Ruga's last chapter in this story, I believe. Is that correct, or are you able to join us tomorrow?
If I will, I would be late.
Okay.
So,
I don't want to put you on the spot with the scheduling here.
Yeah,
I was
no,
just
no, no,
assuming
yeah,
you
no,
weren't
you're
going to
fine.
be, so I was going to give you a chance to sort of narrate why
anticipate-
your character isn't going to be participating in the next tale. I was kind of hoping you'd make it easy on me and like die or something, but you know.
I mean, that would be. I mean, like that said, I mean, like
this is more interesting.
even canonic, even like, even if I were to make it, I don't see why she would just like walk into the town all willy nilly. Even if I am able to make it in for some time, but I will. How do I want to do this?
Well, while you're thinking, I'm going to go through some outro
Yeah,
type
yeah.
stuff. Give you some time to decide.
Gotcha.
So,
yeah.
again, thanks everyone for joining us today. I had a lot of fun. It was great to have such a lively chat. That was mostly focused on running the game. Didn't pay as much attention to chat, but I see my players were pretty well involved as well. So it's great to have some people show up for this. Thanks to Robert Bohl for making this game. We've been having a great time with it. And with that, we will be back tomorrow for one more episode. Same time, 8 to 11 Eastern. And then that'll close out the playtest period for Demihumans, I believe. We'll fill out our forms and send it to Robert Bohl, and Evil Hat will publish the game at some date to be determined in the future. I'm not sure if anyone did a release date, but yeah, I've had a great time, and I hope all my players have as well, and our people in the chat. So with that, Ruga, anything you'd like to mention on here, or shall we leave things open-ended for you?
Let's leave it open because like I said, I might actually be able to make it back before, with at least some decent amount of time. Ideally, by break, but
Okay.
we'll definitely see.
Sounds good. All right. Sorry, you were about to say